Hello, everybody. We are here live for this special interview with my new friend, Deb Porter. And this is specifically for our series that we are doing for the Simple Sales Bundle. So, for those of you who don't know, the Simple Sales Bundle is a collection of more than 50 different resources that help you simplify sales so that you can make more money in your business, something that all of us need as business owners, right? And the bundle, it opens on August 15th at 8 a.m. Central. So, if you're listening to this before then, make sure that you get on the wait list. We will link to all of the different pages for you so that you can access that. And if you're listening to it after August 15th, grab the bundle because it's only available until August 20th at 11:59 p.m. Central. And one of the really incredible products in that bundle is, like I said, from Deb. And it's all about listening, which is, I was telling her this before we hopped on. This is something that I have not heard really anybody talking about, the importance of listening just in general, but listening and how it affects the sales in your business. So, without further ado, welcome, Deb. Do you want to just share a brief introduction of yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Deb Porter. I'm the owner of Hold Hearing Out Life Drama, and I'm so excited to participate in the bundle that you created, Steph. Thank you for inviting me into that. I feel very grateful. So, my business is really all about active listening, and it's about communication. Most people, when I start to talk about active listening, I kind of get really active listening. But when I back it up and I say, okay, most people understand that business is built on relationship, and relationship is built on communication, and communication is built on listening. Suddenly the lights go on and people go, yes, now I understand why this is so important. It's so important, especially in sales.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in any relationship, right? Like my husband and I have this conversation quite a bit about the importance of communication and listening. But yeah, let's talk about sales specifically though. So when it comes to listening and sales, what are if you could pick one or two of your favorite tips for people to use as they get ready for maybe a sales conversation or maybe, um, I mean, even let's just go with a sales conversation. Let's just keep it really
Sure.
simple, right? So something
Absolutely.
that people can think of mind. What would you have for them?
So the first thing, I just draw from right before this conversation, you were dropping your son off at school and you got caught in traffic. And so you were coming into the appointment feeling anxious and nervous that, oh no, I'm not going to be able to be there on time and perform well. And one of the things that I teach that's so important is that as you enter a conversation, especially a sales conversation, you need to be calm. You need to have that established in yourself. You need to set that intention from the outset because it really does allow you to listen to other people. This is essential because of it's science backs it up. It's scientific. We need to be able to access the prefrontal cortex of our brain. We can actually lose up to 42 IQ points if we get stuck back in the amygdala. It's really fascinating. Yeah.
Wow, I never knew
Yeah.
that. So step one, maintain your calm.
Maintain your
And-
calm.
yeah, and I'm glad that you shared that example because yes, I was running late, and there's traffic sometimes, but it was very unusually high traffic today. And yes, I was definitely in a state of overwhelm, and I was doing my work to regulate my nervous system, but
Yep.
still, it's like then I have to run into the house. I have to grab my headphones. I have to turn my light on. My microphone is like all of these different things that you have to think about, right?
Right.
And it's the same thing when you're going into a sales conversation, especially if it's one of your first sales conversations that you're having because you're already pretty nervous, right?
Yes.
You already have yeah, go ahead.
And if you have that anxiety of, "Oh my gosh, I really need to make this sale." So, maybe
Yeah.
it's not the traffic, maybe it's the anxiety of, "I need this sale because I need to pay my rent." I mean, if you come in with that anxiety, it's the same thing. You need to establish that calm so that you can be present to really serve the other person in the conversation with your offer, because I'm sure your offer is good. I'm sure you've got something really amazing to give, but in order to give that, you have to be able to start from that place of calm.
Yeah, that's great. That's so important. So now let's even take one step back further as we prepare for this conversation. So, yes, we're calm in the moment leading up to, let's say, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes before we're regulating our nervous system. We're starting to get calm. But what can we do even before that to help prepare ourselves so that we can make sure that we are actively listening and giving our full attention to the other person?
So one of the things I always do is to set my intention ahead of time. Like I have an intention for the conversation. Like so I have an intended outcome. So is the intent of the conversation? So I'm thinking about that ahead of time. Is the intent to actually get to know the person? Is the intent to make the sale? What is the intent? Where is the outcome? Sometimes people think they're trying to jump all the way to the end, and if they simply break it down into smaller steps, it can work a lot better. And so just establishing that ahead, I think, is really a useful tool.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So now I want to talk more about the specifics of listening. And I don't even know if that's the right way to phrase it, but how do we listen well?
So I
Can
teach
you
a,
can
I
you
t-
break down? Yeah.
yeah, sure. I teach a framework. It's called the core. And so what I did was I reverse engineered what I did. If I asked you, have you ever been taught how to actively listen? My guess is you're probably going
No.
to shake your head no, and most of
Mhm.
our listeners are probably going to be shaking their head no. And yet those people who listen well in sales make 42% more sales. It's so incredibly important, but yet we're not taught how. We don't know what to do. And so I teach this core framework. It's a scaffolding piece that you can use. It starts, the C is of course calm. That's where we start with that calm, and then we talk about the outcome. What outcome is it that we're trying to achieve? And then comes the R, the relate, that puts the active part in the active listening. This piece is really large in the larger course that I have, Listen Your Way to Increase Sales. That part is really complex in terms of, now we're talking about body language, we're going way beyond the things that most people think about, which is put the phone away, dial and pay attention. We're going way beyond that now, and really being active in the active listening. Um, Maybe I should back up and just define active listening. Maybe people don't know what active listening really is. Can I just take a moment and do that, and then I'll circle back to the E. the
Yeah,
art.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Sorry, the art of active listening is really fully engaging both in content and emotion. So that's really what it is. And so, in terms of engaging with the emotion, that is the E aspect. So yeah, empathy.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. And one of the things that you said to me, I want to dive into this more, but as you were talking, this brought something up for me. When I hopped onto our interview before we went live, she said, "You know what? I've just been hanging out. I've just been breathing. I've just been staying calm because I wanted to almost co-regulate her calm or your calm to me because I felt a very noticeable sense of calm when I hopped on and I was talking with Deb. I was like, oh, okay, this is good. This is going to be a good conversation. So that goes so much further in your conversation than people think about,
Yes,
right?
indeed.
Like, especially for a sales conversation, that other person may be nervous too. Like maybe it's a big project and it's a lot of money to invest, or maybe
Right.
they've had a bad day. Like you don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And when you bring that energy first, ooh, it's powerful, as you experienced with me. Yes, indeed. Yes.
it is. It really is. And it's one thing that people always talk about it when you're selling is leading the conversation. Right?
Mm.
Leading the conversation so that you're kind of like in charge in a sense, and and setting the tone. Well, I'd love to know, why are you laughing right now?
I'm laughing because it's so antithetical to, to really having a productive conversation. You don't have to. When people think I have to be in charge, I have to lead. Um, I did that, but I did that, and I experienced. You had the experience of it, so you saw what can happen, and just doing that in a different way. People just reframing that in your mind is just really. I'm laughing because so many people just don't know.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's why I was going to say, like, reframing
Yeah.
the thought of leading, right? Because leading, I feel like most people think it's like, okay, I have to be the one in charge. I'm going to say this thing, you're going to listen, then you're going to respond to me, right? Instead of, like you said, having an active conversation where both parties are listening, but you can lead, quote unquote, the conversation by just setting the stage with your level of calm, right?
Indeed.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There was one other thing that I wanted to ask you. Oh, when it comes to, so you was calm, what was the
Outcome,
CO outcome
relate.
are relate. Okay, so that was the piece that I wanted to talk a little bit more about, the
Mhm,
relatability aspect. And I've heard a couple of people share tips on how you can relate to people when you're having, let's just keep it simple and focus on sales specifically. So
mhm.
if we were having a sales conversation right now, what are some recommendations that you would give to everybody listening to relate to that other person? Are there very specific things that kind of can go across the board that people can do, like repeating what they say, or anything along those lines that you can share?
Yeah, of course, repeating back, that's reflection, right? Reflecting back to them. So that helps them to know, oh, indeed, she is listening to me. He is listening to me. They are hearing me. That is a key component. But I think also the power, another aspect of relate that I teach is the power of the question, right? Asking the right question and then really allowing the other person to go into it in the way that they feel comfortable and to offer you information. Um, Knowing what question to ask and how to ask it and to receive it back is really, really helpful in sales conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about before with preparing
Yeah.
for that conversation. So this is something that you can do days ahead of time,
Yeah.
right?
hundred
Yeah.
percent. Yeah. Do your research. Know the person that you're talking to. Always be prepared. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, that
Yes.
that
That
should
kind
go
of goes
without
without
saying,
saying.
but
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. But yet sometimes the common sense things, I often tend to miss that because I think, oh, well, even when I'm talking about listening, because I'm so far into it, I've practiced for so long. And my business partner says, Deb, people don't know that. People don't know that. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, let me slow
yeah.
down then and be more clear.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's 100% true. There was things that I talked to my clients about on our calls. I'm like, how do you not know that? And it's just all brand new
Yeah.
information. But no, this has already been so incredibly helpful. And it I mean, I know that you have a wealth of knowledge, and truthfully, I don't even know what questions to ask you right now because this is all so new to me. So, if
Mm,
you just have maybe before we wrap up, maybe I don't know, one or two. I know that you shared some big tips, you shared your framework, but if there's
yep.
like one or two things that you can leave people with for maybe something that they can even start implementing right away today, right now, as they're listening to this, so that they can become better listeners, what would you recommend? And this could be sales, yes, we want to focus on that, but even in their personal relationships, do you have any advice for that?
Okay, so if we're going to talk about personal relationships, the advice I always give is, people often go, but, and I don't know what to do, and this can even come up in a sales conversation. I think, like this is going on, and I don't know how to solve it. So instead of jumping in, because it's highly likely that you see the answer, you see an answer, maybe not the answer, but you see an answer. Instead of offering that right away, just slow down and say, is that something that you'd like help with right now? Would you like to problem solve that? Or do you just need me to hold space with what you feel? Do you just need me to hold space to hear you say, I don't know what to do? And it's okay that you don't know what to do.
Yeah,
They
that's
and
great.
then do whatever it is that they acknowledge. Like they'll be able to tell you what they need. And when you respond to that, then you're really building the relationship. Then you're communicating to them, I see you, I hear you, and you matter. It's especially important in our home life and everywhere. That's important everywhere.
Mhm. Yeah, one of the things that I have been guilty of doing in the past is trying to solve problems without the other person wanting a problem solved, right? And that kind of that came up for me when you were talking. It's like, okay, well, what would you like me to do in this situation? Not, I am Stephanie, I know everything. This is what I think you should do, right?
I had a conversation with somebody yesterday. They're like, I was just trying to help. How did I become the bad guy here? That somebody said this
Yeah.
to me exactly yesterday. And I was able to just slow down with this person and say, okay, um, is that something you want to really think about? Because I can help you see it if you want to know. And so she did actually. And so then we backed up and I helped her see, okay, it was during this conversation, you were getting the content, but you weren't reflecting back their emotions to them. And as soon as you do that, then you're not the bad guy anymore because you understand how they feel. And she was like, oh. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was a lesson that took me a long time to learn, and I don't know if you work with any people who are neurodivergent by chance, do you? Or
Yes, I am in fact myself neurodivergent. So yeah, it's
okay,
something I'm familiar with. Yep.
okay, because I know that there are some difficulties, for lack of a better term, for people who are neurodivergent when it comes to listening and just
Yes.
even language processing. Do you
Mhm.
have anything that you can share around that? Any insight?
So I have a free resource on the website, hearingoutLifeDrama.com. It's called Runaway Freight Train Brain. And it's especially for those people whose brains tend to get off track. And it's some very practical tips that I think most people probably might already know. It's a 7-minute video, but I've also added into it, make it a mini course with some questions to really help you focus and to dial in and get better. So,
Okay, great.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that
free.
would be helpful. Yeah,
Yeah.
when you said runaway freight train brain, I was like, oh, that's me. That is how I feel like my brain is many
Yeah.
times. But thank you for sharing all of this. And inside of the bundle, you have your resource. It is called Gain the Edge, Listen Like a Pro. It
Mhm.
is normally $27, but when you grab the bundle, you get the bundle for $7. So
Right.
not only are you getting Deb's resource in there, you're also getting 50 plus other resources, which is just so incredible. It's just such an insane value. So do you want to talk a little bit about your product inside of the Simple Sales Bundle?
Yeah. So what I've created is a bunch of questions to really help you say, okay, am I listening well in sales? And to really ask questions to help you think all the way through, where are places where I can be a pro? Where are places that I might be missing that I can get better? And so they're very pointed questions. They're uh things to help you slow down enough to think, okay, in my next sales call, if I do this, then this outcome will be different. And it's really, really powerful, I think. And I also start out with the Johari window in the resource. If you don't know about that, it's a little extra thing to learn about.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Can you explain that just in like 1 minute what that
No,
is?
no, I can't
No?
because I want my
Okay.
no. Yeah, people go get the resource. Go spend the $7 and yeah, no. And I hope you're not offended by that, but I really do hope that people take the time to see what all you've created because I think it's good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there is a special surprise waiting for you in Deb's resource. You are going to learn about the Johari window. I am definitely going to be signing up for this because this has just been so enlightening for me. So thank you again for being here, Deb. Thank you for sharing your resource in the bundle. And for everybody listening, just a reminder, the Simple Sales Bundle, it opens on August 15th or August 15th at 8 a.m. Central, and it closes forever on August 20th at 11:59 p.m. Central. And you can get Deb's resource, my resource, and 50 other resources in that bundle. So thank you, everybody who was here live with us and who was watching the replay. And thank you again, Deb.
Thank you.